Hey everybody, and welcome to another video. This time we're going to talk about Destiny 2's Renegades content release schedule. This one only covers the first 2 weeks of the new expansion, so there's not a lot of information. Also, not to mention that not all of the stuff that's mentioned is actually paid. Most of it is just free stuff. So if we go over the calendar and we look at the Renegades section, so update 9.5.0 is the first week of the expansion, and 9.5.0.1 that's the second week of the expansion. So this small content release schedule covers only the first 2 weeks of the Renegades expansion, and we're getting some interesting stuff here. So in terms of paid content, or what I think is paid content, again, Renegades has a $40 price tag. You get the Renegades campaign, the Lawless Frontier activity, exotic mission, a new dungeon, a new weapon in form of blasters, and a new exotic. And that's it. That's all you get for $40. Not even your destination, so there's no new destination. You get instead an activity, and there's no new raid, right? You get a dungeon instead of a raid. And there's gonna be a dungeon race. And outside of that, you get the usual campaign, which may be however many missions long, we don't know. And that's it. That's all you get. A bunch of weapons and gear. So, in terms of actual paid offerings, Renegades doesn't look good, right? It seems like we're getting less and less with each expansion, and this time around we're not even getting a new destination, right? We're just getting a new activity that is supposed to take us to some new places, I guess. Anyway, that's a whole other discussion we can have about how it feels like Renegades is not worth buying. In fact, if anything, the situation for Renegades looks to be very similar to the one we've had for the Edge of Fate after release. So, in terms of player sentimentality and morale, everything's gonna be basically in the toilet. And Renegades, I'm not sure Renegades is going to break the 40,000 concurrent players on Steam count when it releases. It might, but I'm not sure. I'm actually interested to see just how many people turn up to play Renegades. Anyway, in terms of free stuff, which is, I don't know, I guess interesting, you get the seasonal power carrying over. All exotic weapons and armor are featured. The Edge of Fate featured gear continues. Vault space is increased, so we get another 300 spaces. Vault space sorting improvements, universal exotic armor ornaments, returning player bonus and rewards, 300 power catch-up chest. I think that's already in the tower. You can go to Zavala and claim it. Some new activities are being added to the portal. A Typhon Imperator, I think that's the lost sector that they're adding. The lost sector that takes place in the Typhon Imperator on Nyamuna. The Sunless Cell strike, that's the strike that got added back to the game with Episode Heresy, and then got taken out or vaulted for whatever reason with the Edge of Fate. Then you get 6-player activity Arena Ops. They don't give any kind of information on that, at least not here. You have Pinnacle Ops, which you will see the return of Vox Obscura and the Realize. The Realize is again an exotic mission that was released with Episode Heresy, and more. In terms of portal rewards and cosmetics refresh, we have solo, firearm, arena ops, crucible ops, pinnacle ops, whatever. And the new order system is supposed to arrive for common, legendary, and exotic weapons. In 9.5.1, 9.5.0.1 update, that's the second week after Renegade's launch, we get a bunch of weekly rituals called the Vanguard Alerts. I think that's just the old Vanguard Strike playlist plus a couple new activities in between. So you get Vanguard Alert playlist, Grandmaster Vanguard Alert, so that pretty much means I think that we're gonna get Grandmasters back. Crucible and Arena Ops, continued weekly modifiers and events, that's just the Sword Week returns, Foundry weapon sponsorship, the Dawning, Arms Week, Iron Banner, Heavy Metal, mid-season call to arms, surges, rewards, boosts, and more. So that's the content release schedule. And then Bungie goes to, first of all, they apologize for the portal, which was released with the Edge of Fate. They pretty much admit that it was a bad idea, that it wasn't perceived as well as it should have been, and that they understand why it wasn't. Does it mean that we'll see the portal be taken out of the game? No. I think they're just going to keep updating it and add more content to it, which I don't know. At this point, maybe I don't even know what the solution would be, right? Going into Renegades, there's a renewed focus on quality of life and rewards. So once again, quality of life updates, well, they're great, because I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that quality of life updates are not great. They are, but they're not content, right? You can't sell us the idea that some new tab in the vault is new content I should be excited for, right? Because in reality, if you look past all the bluff that Bungie throws at us, Renegades is looking like an expansion that will have equal to or even less content than Edge of Fate. Edge of Fate at least gave us a new destination, a long campaign, and I guess you had a raid, right? That was really it, and some armor sets and some gear, and that was it. In Renegades, however, we're not even getting a new destination. We're getting a new activity that takes place on Mars, Venus, and I think Europa. So just let that sink in for a second, right? There's no way you can convince me that this is a deal worth $40. It isn't, right? Let's just go on. So, in updates 9.5.0 and 9.5.0.1, we have continued to apply lessons learned to Renegades and the core game. Some of these changes address longer-term feedback items, while others are continued iteration on the feedback items from the Edge of Fate. Players will be able to reach the power cap directly through Renegades activities if they wish. Of course. I mean, that's the logical thing to do. All exotic weapons and armor are now featured. Additionally, we're moving the power catch-up chest needing manual pickup to organic drop. Sign in, play Renegades, catapult to 300 power. Okay, that's actually kind of cool. We have increased vault capacity by an additional 300 slots to 1,000. We just hit 1,000? What's this? 8 years in to Destiny 2, and we just now have 1,000 slots in our vaults. Wow. In addition, the vault has a revamped filtering system to find what you're looking for faster. So let's have a look at this a little bit. So you can actually see the pages that are filled. Looks like there's some filters you can apply and sort by. So you can filter by date to rarity, power, tier, slot, lowest to highest, highest to lowest. That's actually kind of cool, right? You're gonna be able to get to your gear. You're gonna be able to find your gear a lot faster with this new implementation of the vault. I'm actually kind of curious to see how it's gonna look in game. Universal exotic armor ornaments. We're opening up the fashion game. Players may now apply any owned exotic armor ornament of the same class and slot their exotic armors in PvE activities. Armor will continue to show their base aesthetic in PvP activities to avoid confusion in combat. Okay. So that's just going to work in... So what they're basically saying is that ornaments will only work in PvE. Okay. That's interesting. Numerous sandbox buffs. Weapons, armor, and more are getting a pass to give you more reason to pull out old favorites or build craft with new ones. Our first article covering balance changes was released. Okay, whatever. Reintroducing weekly objectives to support weekly rituals. Vanguard alerts will be back some nightfall vibes. Okay. And Arena Ops brings back six players seasonal activities such as Catch Crash for larger fire team fun. Oh, so it looks like it's going to be seasonal content activities that we haven't seen in a while, right? Like Catch Crash, for example. Okay, we have a screenshot here. So quick play, a rotating selection of activities at a low difficulty level. Okay, so that's Vanguard alert. And it looks like we're having the new seasonal hub page here. They're giving us a look at the new seasonal hub. Okay, and this is Arena Ops. So, oh yes, thank God they're bringing back Nightmare Containment. For those of you who haven't experienced Season of the Haunted, the Nightmare Containment activity was actually kind of cool. And I know it's not too big of a deal. It isn't. But that's one of the destinations I wished to see back after Season of the Haunted. So we're kind of getting it back in some ways, and that's cool. Because Callus's flagship, you know, the big ship that's in the orbit of the moon, that's actually very cool, and I'm so happy we get to see it again. We also have Catch Crash returning. I'm not sure how I feel about Catch Crash and Astral Alignment. That's again an old activity. That's from, I think that's from Season of the Lost. The season that took place prior to Witch Queen launch. So, yeah. Upcoming events. The Dawning, Arms Week in January, Guardian Games in March, Call to Arms mid-season in April, Iron Banner, and Heavy Metal. And that's pretty much all there is to it. To this very, very short content release schedule and weekly TWID post. So what is there to say? Like, if you've been playing Destiny for the past 10 years or so, you will have already played through most of these activities, right? So they're nothing new. They're not new or imaginative or anything. They're just kind of being brought back into the game, and I guess that kind of makes me happy, because this is content that you basically I paid for, and I haven't played in a while, and I'm still not sure how long I'm going to play. But still, it's actually kind of interesting to see these activities being brought back. But I don't know why they're so stingy about it. Why bring just 3 activities back when there's a whole selection of activities you can bring back, right? the same goes to solo ops and fireteam ops and whatever. Like, why limit yourself to just a few lost sectors, right? There's so many lost sectors in this game. Bring them all in, or bring more of them in. Turn them into solo op content. What about the strikes that were sunset? You could put them in the fireteam ops, right? The old raids that have been sunset, and I'm referring to the raids that we've had and then got taken out, up to Forsaken's raid, right? You could bring them back. There's so much content that could be brought back. Not to mention the old campaigns. I think we've all heard those kind of discussions about Red War, Curse of Osiris, Warmind, and Forsaken DLC content being removed and never coming back. It's funny how Bungie's decision to sunset large parts of the game, including everything that's pre-Forsaken in terms of Destiny 2, came to bite them in the ass. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like, they had a lawsuit with some writer going on, and Bungie didn't necessarily lose the lawsuit, but they settled out of court, and yeah, I don't think we don't know what sum of money Bungie gave to that writer that they claimed Bungie had stolen ideas from. I don't think that's the case. I think that's just a writer who's had issues selling their work, and they're looking for any way possible to make some money out of literally anything at this point, right? But anyway, the decision to sunset content came to bite Bungie in the ass, and that feels great, because it tells Bungie that not only was sunsetting a bad idea, but if you're going to screw over everyone, then expect to be screwed over in the future, because there's this thing called karma, you know, and Bungie is now experiencing karma to its highest, fullest potential, right? Anyway, that's the Renegades content calendar update, whatever you want to call it. At this point, I'd say hold off from buying Renegades. It really doesn't look like there's too much going on with Renegades. If you're really going to buy Renegades, then at least wait until the reviews are out. See what other content creators have to say about the expansion, and then go and buy the thing. If you want to play Renegades for whatever reason, if you're a Star Wars fan, I would encourage you to just stick to Star Wars. Whatever this abomination is, that's supposed to be a hybrid between Destiny and Renegades, is not going to be viewed very well, and if anything, is barely even going to make a dent in the active player base count. So yeah, it's up to you. If you want to buy the expansion, then go for it, but just know that you're actually paying for a campaign, a new activity, new gear, and a new dungeon, and that's it. That's it. We're not even getting a new destination, no new strikes, no new Crucible maps. By the way, we're supposed to have a freaking what's it called? A task force for the Crucible. We haven't heard anything from those task force members in, well, I guess since they were introduced. Somebody should check on them, because they might be in a office somewhere, you know, their bodies decomposing or something. We haven't seen anything new being added to the PvP section of this game for years. And yes, I understand Marathon is basically the new kind of PvP that maybe Destiny PvP fans will try their hand at. I don't know. Anyway, that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, have a good day.